Um, hey guys, it's been a minute. I just got home from work and I was gonna record this, and I ended up getting up game with my friends, and I was like, oh crap, let me do this first. Um, I should have my phone by me. I kind of have like had some ideas, not ideas, but things I kind of wanted to talk about. Um, I went back and was reading some of my earlier notes. So okay, for context, is whoever's been consistently listening to this podcast would know. I was journaling a lot at the beginning of the year, and a lot of that has ceased. A lot of the habits that I tried building have ceased. Um, and that's that's sad. I feel like it should bother me more than it does. I feel like it weighs on my conscience, but doesn't weigh on my like will, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, um, I think there's a few things that I'm like, I've just been lazy. I've been getting lazy. I've been getting complacent. Um, and trying to understand that through myself is really really weird. Um, I read a book. I talked about it, I think a few times last. Maybe I talked to you guys. It took me forever to read, but I was reading Emotional Healthy Spirituality by Peter Scazzero. I think how you say his name. Um, and I think it talked about like some really good effective habits to build as a believer. Believer. So let me backtrack because it's a little more context. I guess I want to give. In failing in my habits, one of those things has been failing in the actions of my faith and becoming permissive of my sin and my indulgences with sin. And that's a really, really, really sad thing for me. Or at least yeah, it feels like it is. I don't like the person that I am right now. Or that I've been acting as. I like aspects of it. There's a really cool intro to an album I heard recently where it's a kind of a talking poetic thing where a person's like, there's this idea that you know, uh, who we are one day from the next is a different person. Like each day we look in the mirror, we're kind of looking at someone new. It reminded me of this idea that I heard from Dr. K, the YouTuber, where he's like, who you are today, like treat your life like a video game where each day it's a different player, and your goal is to make it easier for the player tomorrow. Um, and so I think it's like in working, the underlining idea that is working with yourself, um, and noticing who you are today and who you're going to be tomorrow. One of my favorite quotes from the song actually is, I think I love the people we're becoming, but I hate who we became. It's because who we are right now, or who I feel is, specifically for me, is who I feel I am right now, is why I resonate with it, is like turmoil, inaction, uh, not enacting good things and good behavior. And yeah, so anyhow, this has affected my faith, and so I've been trying to be better at it. Uh, it's super easy for me to grow intellectually about the idea, um, but not necessarily close to God. So I listened to this book, Emotional Healthy Spirituality, and I think it talked about some great habits. But two of the main habits that I emphasized was the daily office, which is like spending time with Jesus in a sense of prayer and setting aside a specific time for prayer and not sacrificing that. So like sometimes when you're like writing something, you'll be like, oh, let me just finish this up, then I'll go do the next thing. It was like, no, if you have a set time to spend with Jesus, go spend that time with Jesus. The second thing was a Sabbath day. Um, Having a time to actually rest in God's presence. And even if you're not going to rest in the sense of let's not like do anything that day, rest in the sense of I'm going to switch up the routine for this one day, and this day is going to be engaging with God's presence in new ways. What the guy who wrote the book, talks about washing his hands in a Burger King bathroom, which is just different from what he normally would do. But in doing so, he felt so at peace and in the grace of God. Both of those things kind of rely on this aspect of prayer that I've been messing up. And so today, I started a new book called Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools. And I was at work the entire day, just almost brought to tears by how beautiful this first chapter was to me. And it ended with this poem that I wanted to share with you guys. And the poem itself is a prayer, so I was going to save it to the end. Um, kind of talk about my head's at, but I want to share it. My goal is, I think, if I'm going to keep doing these, is to end them with prayer. So maybe I'll say this prayer and then maybe repeat it at the end, or I don't know. But I would hope that there's solace that we can all find in this. Let me pull it up real quick. Sorry, I probably should have had it ready. Um, but while I'm pulling it up, I feel like the thing I want to talk about, I guess, mostly is my lack of drive, my lack of initiative, and my appreciation for nuance, and how, as I've become more politically conscious, nuance and appreciative nuance wanes. And what I mean by that is like nuance existing with grace, I guess, wanes or leaves. There's a Christian YouTuber named Gavin Ortlund. He has a PhD from Fuller, in Fuller Theological Seminary. He's a biblical scholar, and I really, really, really like Gavin Ortlund. But I love his approach to his videos specifically, and the charity he gives to people who disagree with him. And then when I have sometimes like debates or conversations about politics, I see how much that leaves me and how much I yearn for that spirit. It reminds me of how like Luther really feels that outside of God, we truly on our own will do not want nothing good. Um, because I will for that. If I'm honest with myself, I want that. I really, really, really want that. And that to me is weird when I think of like how Young talks about like integrating like things like that. Like I don't know technically what he means, and I haven't read enough works or looked into enough quotes or ideas or even just expounding on those ideas. What does it really mean to like integrate your shadow? Because there is a shadow of that for me. I want to engage with this like hedonistic passion and joy of debate and disagreement more than the charity that I see Gavin Ortlund give to people he humbly disagrees with. And I'm like, one looks so much more Christ-like to me. And I also think another problem is that I've made Christ and God so centered about character, which is super, super good. Like, that's not bad. But in focusing on character, I have, like, left God out of the equation of just being God for me sometimes. We talked about today at church, kind of not celebrating, but, like, being weak, but how weakness is not like society and socially we view weakness as this like cursor, but weakness isn't a cursor. God actually uses the Church of Philadelphia in Revelation 3's weakness. He says how their weakness has made them humble and dependent, and so that's what I want to be, is humble and dependent. But I also just want to realize God is that. Yeah, like I just want to realize that God is that, and I want to sit in that presence and that glory and just enjoy that. And so I guess to like kind of wrap all these thoughts together, because they're a little all over the place. I guess if I had to break it down to 3 points, it would be, I've been lazy, and I don't think it's a good character of God, or a good character of someone who follows God. But in that, God is still good. I want to enjoy and engage in that. And enjoying and engaging in that, I want to enact the drive and calling that I feel God has for me. Even if I feel as if right now I'm not aware of what that could be necessarily, I just enjoy it. So this is the prayer that was from the book. It's actually a poem from another book that I'm hoping to get, maybe called Gorillas of Grace. It's by Ted Loder. So the poem goes like this. It's a little lengthy, so bear with me. Holy One, there's something I wanted to tell you, but there have been errands to run, bills to pay, arrangements to make, meetings to attend, friends to entertain, washing to do. And I forgot what it is I wanted to say to you. And mostly, I forgot what I am about or why. Oh God, don't forget me. Please, for the sake of Jesus Christ. Eternal One, there's something I wanted to tell you, but my mind races with worrying and watching, with weighing and planning, with rutted slights and pothole grievances, with leaky dreams and leaky plumbing, and leaky relationships that I keep trying to plug up and my attention is preoccupied with loneliness, with doubt, and with things I covet. And I forget what it is I wanted to say to you, and how to say it honestly, or how to do much of anything. Oh God, don't forget me, please, for the sake of Jesus Christ. Almighty One, there's something I wanted to ask you, but I stumble along the edge of a nameless rage, haunted by 100 floating fears of war, of losing my job, of failing, of getting sick and old, having loved ones die, of dying. And I forget what it is the real question is that I wanted to ask. And I forget to listen anyway because you seem unreal and far away. And I forget what it is I have forgotten. Oh God, don't forget me. Please, for the sake of Jesus Christ. Oh Father in heaven, perhaps you have already heard what I wanted to tell you. What I wanted to ask in my blundering way is don't give up on me. Don't become too sad about me, but laugh with me, and try again with me, and I will with you too. Oh Father in heaven, perhaps you've already heard what I wanted what I wanted to tell you. What I wanted to ask is, forgive me, heal me, increase my courage, please. Renew me renew in me a little of love and of faith, a sense of confidence, and a vision of what it might mean to live as though you were real, and I mattered, and everyone was sister and brother. What I wanted to ask is for peace enough to want and work for me, or for more, for joy enough to share, and for awareness that is keen enough to sense your presence. Here, now, there, then, always. Amen.